This program is a Creative Magic Network and Maura Sweeney collaboration.
Welcome to the Maura Sweeney podcast. Maura is an international speaker, Huffington Post contributor, and the trademarked ambassador of happiness. In 10 minutes or less, Maura weaves clever anecdotes, insightful questions, and personal stories to challenge your mindsets and enable you to live happier from the inside out. Here's Maura with today's podcast for you.
What are you listening to? Well, if you're on a path to living happy from the inside out, you'll definitely want to hear this latest podcast. What are you listening to? Do you know, whether we realize it or not, we are all self-censoring beings. That means we both tune into certain sounds or ideas, and we also tune out to others. We're actually screeners, either by habit and attention or by inattention. There are things we may focus in on and hear, and other things that are right in our sphere that we tune out. Recently, I was invited to speak at a national smoking cessation retreat. And during this 6-day session, these were people who were not only going to be giving up the habit of smoking, which is a very powerful one, but they knew that by the time they left this 6 or 7-day retreat, that they would need to go home and reconstruct their lives in new and healthy ways. And you probably realize, whether it's smoking or any other habit that we get addicted to, once that thing is removed from our lives, we all of a sudden are exposed and aware of so many other things we're not. And the purpose of this exercise that I was about to give them was to help them have stakeholders in their lives, or little tools in their toolbox that they could use to help them move forward. And so I decided to give them this practice course on what it was like to hear or listen to everything around them, because chances were likely, once they stopped smoking and went back to their regular lives, they were going to hear a lot of things. So we closed our eyes for a few minutes, and I said, I want you to pay attention to everything you hear. At the end of a few minutes, it was absolutely remarkable just how much everyone heard. They heard more than just the breeze and the fact that there was a nearby fountain. One man actually said that he heard the leaves as the breeze was going through them. Another person said that they were able to hear the drops of the water, the individual drops, as it was coming out of the fountain. And so you can see that our hearing is absolutely acute. And when we're not paying attention to what we're hearing, sometimes we may not just be missing some negative things, but what if we are missing some really positive or instructional things that when we start paying attention to them, we can actually become aware to decide how we feel about those things and to choose to accept them or not. You know, let me go back a little bit to my upbringing and my childhood. I remember I became aware of what I was hearing and the effect that it was having on my body, my soul, my personhood, my outlook. For example, I remember hearing stories, and I had become very sensitive to conversations about others that, rather than focusing on good news or reasons to celebrate or appreciate them, would turn somehow to something negative, as in the wrong thing that they had done in their life, rather than something that they had done correctly or right. Over time, these kinds of conversations that I was hearing actually were working against my sense of well-being. I remember feeling at times very heavy-hearted, almost depressed. I felt like I'd have to go up to my bedroom to kind of reassess and refocus my thoughts, because those kinds of conversations were actually taking away from or undermining my hope or my belief or my expectations for a better or happier outcomes. But there were more things than that I learned over the course of time to hear that were not necessarily coming out of the mouths of other people, but coming out of my own mouth. These were things that I would be saying maybe to friends or to my spouse, maybe things I was saying as a manager or as a mother. And I would suddenly become aware of some of these comments. And I remember thinking, ooh, I don't like what I said. These things don't speak for the person I want to become. So it was actually very good that I was listening in. In each one of these cases, I got an opportunity to become more aware, and in becoming more aware of what I was hearing and what I was saying and what I was paying attention to actually gave me an opportunity to make active, conscious choices about what I wanted to take in or ingest into my life on a regular basis. So what does this mean for you? I would say when you have a few minutes, preferably at the beginning of the day and then again at the end of the day, ask yourself or appoint yourself as a key listener, as if you have your radar up, and you are going to start literally paying attention to everything you hear. Things that are common, as well as things you didn't even know were around you, such as things like the air conditioning or heating going on and off. You'd be amazed at how many subtleties come to mind. In fact, you may also realize that there are some things that you've been toying with or problems in life you've been dealing with, and you didn't realize that if you just listened in more closely, some of those answers would be right in front of you as you opened your ears to hear. Secondly, what you can do is, after realizing all that you're hearing, you can choose to awaken further. You can then make positive and intentional choices for your own outlook, for what you choose to take in the future, but also in terms of how you plan to direct your life. Well, I hope today has proven uplifting for you and would also give you something for your social, emotional, psychological, and happiness toolbox. That's been my thought for today as you begin to listen to what's going on and decide what you wish to listen to in the future. But beyond that, let's hold on, because there's someone else who'd like to share with us what makes them happy from the inside out too. This has been Maura with Maura for You.
My name is Sam Dykstra. I'm originally from Palmer, Massachusetts. I currently live in Brooklyn, New York. What makes me happy, I think, can be broken down into three groups we all know pretty well. I'm by nature a nostalgic person. I think anybody who meets me knows that fairly well. I look to the past fairly often to find some of my happiness, and whether that's lessons I got from my parents from day one, or just thinking back on a memory of holding my grandmother's hand, walking through JCPenney on a Saturday morning, like we used to do so often, or throwing the ball around in the schoolyard at Old Mill Pond, going right up to high school, or my college days, my study abroad trips. Looking back on what I have done in my life brings me such happiness, and I think that brings me to the present, and what that past has allowed me to build for myself now. I live in a city that accepts me for who I am, accepts me for what I like, and I'm happy to have built that. I have a job that I enjoy. I get to write about baseball for a living, which I think fulfills the dreams of that 10-year-old kid that still resides in this 26-year-old body. I have a girlfriend who I adore immensely. Everything that past is built up for me right now in this present, I try to acknowledge as much as I can as happiness. And in that, there's a layer of comfort for that, looking forward towards the future, which obviously is that third thing. I find my happiness in the future, and knowing what has happened in the past for me, knowing what is currently happening, and if this track continues, and if I continue to be who I am, I believe that I can find happiness in the future, and through that belief, I think I find happiness in the present, and that is what makes me happy.
For more insights on living happy from the inside out, subscribe to this podcast. To learn more about Maura, visit her MauraForYou.com website, where you'll find videos, blogs, books, and the Foundations of Happiness self-study e-course. Mora, number 4, letter U.com, where Mora is always for you.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. How'd you like it? How did you like it? I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody out there, and also everybody who contribute to our Patreon page. You are really helpful to this show, and we are grateful for your help. In case you're wondering, Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the podcast and get super cool exclusive rewards in return. I promise you will love the perks. Our Patreon page is at frederickby.com. That's Frederick with a C. buylikebabai.com, and click Patreon in the header. The money is used to cover our production costs and enhancements. It is also used to cover our editing time and sharing to different podcast channels. You can contribute for as low as $1, and you can even choose your platform, either Podbean or Patreon.com. See ya next time.